Hey guys, it's Neil here with Orrin again, and we're really excited. We have a guest today, and our guest is Jeff from Try Our Coffee in San Diego. Jeff and I have known each other for a while, long-time Vend Central customers. But Jeff, first of all, let's jump in, say hi, and then tell us a little bit about Try Our and the history.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, Neil, I've known you for a long time. We've done everything with you that you've done, websites and the refund business and all that stuff. And you've been very helpful to Try Our and growing us. And it's been fantastic working with you
Awesome.
and everything that you so Zippy Assist and everything with your family.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's our industry, right? We're kind of family.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. Everyone's got family in the business. It gets in your blood. Either you get out of it or it gets in your blood and you stay forever. Like Orrin, who had a business, still here he is over 40 years later. So yeah, my parents started it. My dad did the vending business in Chicago and then retired from it. And then Orrin, near and dear to your heart, right?
Yeah.
And then retired from it and had some trouble in the stock market and decided, hey, I need to go back to work. What am I going to do? And he said, vending business isn't for me because he was a little bit older. He was in his 40s. And so he said, I'm going to start Try Our Coffee. And so he started a coffee service business because he thought it was a little bit more civilized. The boxes were lighter, no cash, just whatever's dropped off and delivered is paid for. Coffee was a little bit different back then. You had to convince the customer that it was important because everyone was like, why would I give my employees anything for free? Yeah. So he made these graphs on employee production, if you caffeinated them and all this stuff. Back in 1984 is when he started it. And people weren't giving coffee away for free. So he got a few good customers. And the rest is history, as they say. My mom joined on right then, and Scott and I did too, but not really in any capacity. It was more like, hey, a little load just pulled up. Why don't you go put that away in the garage? And so I was probably 16 or something at the time. Scott was 14. So, of course, we went and put the 20 boxes away, and went and did that. And then Scott and I joined on, and I joined on in probably 91. Scott was not far behind. After that, we had second jobs, didn't get paid for probably 10 years or so, I would say. Typical family business, which is you grow the business. Like I heard you say on one of the things, Neil, that, you didn't put profit first. You just tried to grow the business. And that's what we did too. I wish we would have gone about it in a different way. You go about it in the way that you go about it, and then you fix things after.
Yeah, that's a great point. Great point.
Yeah.
Hey, so give us a summary of how big Try Our Coffee was right at the end. So what was that, about a year ago?
We sold in 2024 after 40 years. We did the up and down, right? We grew really well, nice and steady through 2019, had a ton of stuff in queue, really ready to grow, had some $100,000 pantry services in the queue. And then, of course, the unspeakable and the lockdown in California was something that you just couldn't believe it. And so we went to zero almost. And I think we were probably at about, I don't know, I want to say $4 million or something pre-COVID, down to $1 million or something.
Big drop.
Really
big drop.
And then, so everything went away. We had to build back, and we built back pretty well. And we had great connections with anyone. Like if you did business in San Diego, Sodexo, US Connect, except for Canteen, because Canteen had an office here, we would be more than willing to do it and operate it. And so we were lucky that way. And US Connect was very good to us, and we were able to get Amazons. And so we had 3 very big Amazons. And so we came back really strong. And I forget what the number is that we came back to, but it was hefty. It was maybe double what we were in 2019.
Great.
And then US Connect had a falling out with Amazon. And so that cut us back. But it was really good that we were able to go through that and see that growth at that pace and know that we could handle that. And so we said, hey, let's go do this on ourselves. So we hired a consultant, and he came into our business and lived with us for 2 months. And he would fly home on the weekends back to Ohio. And basically, what he was there for was to help us just pick us apart and in a good way. But it was a slap in the face about what we were doing wrong, what we were doing right. And we had managers' meetings, which we never had every week. He set us up for success and he said, hey, we're going to push 10% to your bottom line. So if you're doing 4 million after wages and everything, you're going to get 400,000 left over for you guys. And we're like, okay, never heard that in the vending business, but go ahead. His name was Jim.
Was he a vending consultant or was he a business consultant?
He's a business consultant.
Interesting.
And everything, and they help all kinds of businesses. I mean, from farms to manufacturing to anything. And they had been bugging us for 2 years. And I was really skeptical because the vending business is super unique. And you're going to fix a vending business? Sure you are, right? But sure enough, they had really good. Do you guys know who Marcus Lemonis is?
Yes,
the prophet?
I do,
Yes.
yep.
Processes really matter. And you can, I think, go into most businesses and do some shining up and some polishing up and make a difference. And they did. And I think if we would have stuck with it, we would have fixed our processes even more. We only had about 8 months with him, and then we ended up selling. So we didn't get to go through the full process, but it was really an enjoyable thing. I saw our managers turn around. I saw our route drivers turn around. I saw our customers get more appreciative of what we were doing. And I thought we were doing a great job. We hardly ever lost an account. Our numbers grew. We did good job at pushing sales and growing our sales within our accounts and presenting new products. But they just went at a different way and really had us look at what we were doing. Managers had a bigger say. We listened to them more. I was never a had to be Jeff idea, had to be Scott idea, who's my brother. We always let people do what they wanted to do. The route drivers were always the face of the company. If a customer had something to say, we always tried to do it. The route driver would say, hey, they're asking for this or whatever. We tried to do it. We're a small company. I heard you talk about that, Neil, when you sold your business. The company came back and said, hey, this is what's happening. So you built your next business with you in mind of not being there.
Yeah.
We're currently starting to build a business and we're going to start in January. And I'm going to build every business that I build from now on with me not being there.
Got it.
Because
Yeah.
I want to be an absentee owner. I never want to be day to day ever again.
Hey, and what you've just said, Jeff, in the last 15 is exactly what Orrin and I have been chatting about it. And honestly, Orrin leads. It's about just doing things differently because we are in a unique business, Orrin, and then we train ourselves to go down a route. It might not be the right route.
So I love the process.
Yeah.
Jeff, I love your process comment because I've always been a process guy. But here's where you finished it, which is even better. You're always updating your processes. You're always looking for improvement and you're looking for efficiencies. That's how you build a successful company. And that's where we would actually, okay, everybody next week, leadership meeting, everybody come in with an efficiency. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody needs to be an owner in that process.
Exactly. And I think you find out what the time frequency is on what you need to be there. Because obviously these billionaires and multimillionaires, they're not maybe in there poking around in every department day to day, but they do a 30,000 foot view and then they poke around as needed. So you need to figure out setting it up in the beginning, what that looks like. Obviously you're knee deep in it, and then you back away and then find, do I need to be over the sales? Is it weekly? Is it bi-weekly? What's the number? What do I need to do? And then how do I measure it? That was another thing that they said is measure it. Have a way to measure it where everyone knows how you're measuring it. And then, because you don't want to just come back at the guy and say, hey, your sales were terrible or your route's not performing. You got to have a way to measure it, prove that you're measuring it. Everyone knows how you're measuring it. So then they all agree upon it. So when they agree upon it, say, hey, remember we talked about this. How can I help you What are we not doing? How are we not supporting you? And then you encourage when you go about it that way. That way, when you need to do something like fire someone or coach them along, you have their buy-in. And that's really important instead of just like kind of cracking a whip and not being fair. You want that kind of buy-in with everyone. I have a little note on my desk here. It says, I've had this forever, as you can see, but it says, keep it simple, keep making it more simple.
Right.
And I think that's so important. Sometimes we just cloud stuff up, but I think making it more and more simple is just so important. I think we make things difficult, and that's not really the way it needs to be.
Give them the tools to be successful,
Yeah.
whether it's same store sales, whether it's retention, whether it's pricing, product selections. Give them the authority, but give them the tools to measure every piece of that, and you will be successful. That's where your retention rate goes skyrocketing high.
You give them the ownership and let them excel, and give them a way to maybe increase their salary with, hey, if you achieve this, you get this, you achieve that, you get that. You'd be surprised. You guys wouldn't be surprised, but they'll go get it.
Yeah.
They'll go get that gift card for 50. It doesn't have to be thousands of dollars. It can be a gift card to Chili's. It can be just little things,
Yeah.
but they will go home and show their wife or their boyfriend or girlfriend, look what I got. We're going out to dinner. Amazon Prime card. It's just a little thing, but there's a pride thing there that's real.
And the other thing is just a shout out. So if you have a safety meeting and you're shouting out a driver or a technician or a warehouse person for something they did phenomenal that everybody should pick up on, and everybody's cheering for them, I'm telling you, it doesn't even need to be the gift card. Gift card's nice, don't get me wrong, but it's just the recognition, the hug, the pat on the back, the Jeff walking out to the warehouse and saying, how's everything going? How's the family? What's happening?
Yeah.
Those are the pieces of the puzzle that drive success.
Right.
Yeah. You see those morning meetings like at Amazon and Walmart and stuff, and they're clapping and stuff like that. And when I first saw those things, I thought, oh my God, that's so corny and stuff. And big businesses all do it, and it's not corny, and they buy into it. And then everybody starts performing and moving up and moving sideways. And you see someone who's been there for 10 years that started out bagging groceries and now is a regional manager. And you go, oh, they get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, Walmart gets it.
Yeah.
Amazon gets it. Does everyone materialize to that and become a regional or go from a route driver to a manager? No. But if they see that there's a path, a lot of times they'll take it. We had a guy that was working on our pick line, helped out, became a manager. And if they see that they can work their way up, a lot of times they'll take it. Yeah. The business is fun.
It is fun.
Really is.
And it's changed.
Really is.
When you think about the change with the pantry and the bean to cup machines and espresso machines, and you have to have the ability to embrace that change. I have a question.
The dollars have changed.
Go ahead. What?
Too. You can charge way more. The price that you get for your business constantly seems to be improving. If you would have said that you're going to get the prices that we've been getting lately 15 years ago, you would have said there's no possible way. But it's happening.
Jeff, when you brought the consultant in from Ohio, if I remember rightly, you had no intention of selling, right? You had decided that you're not going to sell, you're going to improve the business.
We're going to grow. Yeah, we wanted to double and double again and just be a monster. Yeah. So, that was our intention. And we wanted to step away. We had talked to you about that a few times, Neil.
Yep.
And I did say to you, though, hey, if you hear of anybody that's offering a crazy number, let me know. Yeah, we wanted to grow and step away because we wanted more free time, but we did want to get really big. And that was like our goal because we saw that we could do it with the Amazons. So we saw that we could double in a year. So we thought, why couldn't we? Let's hire a salesperson. Let's hire someone to manage it. And let's step away. Let's pay the people what they're worth to get us out and be able to just be semi-retired almost. And that was our goal, was just to grow like crazy. And then the buyer came along, but the buyer had been there for actually 7 years courting us. And we had 6 or 7 years. And we just kept saying no. And finally, they just said, quit saying no. name your price. And so I named a price, and then they said, okay. And so I did what you had mentioned earlier before we started recording this. I said, I have a different price.
Ah,
And the reason that I did that is because I didn't realize all the taxes that were involved. I started penciling it out. I said, oh my God, this is a terrible deal. You
Yeah.
know, this is not, I didn't realize how bad the taxes get. And so I hit him with a new number, and he said, you're a terrible person. Let me see if I can get that number for you. And so he did. And so we ended up selling, and I'm very happy, and I hope they are too with it. I think they can do great things with it. I think they have a fantastic team, and they're built to become a very large vending company. The way that they structured their thing is they had this really great management team that's built to become like $100 million company, and they're just trying to fill in the pieces. So
Yeah.
I hope that they can do that. And I hope they can get some organic growth as well, with some great sales teams and some leads and stuff to come in and land some really big accounts. So they built it from the top down.
Yeah.
But I guess when you have money, when you have backing, you can take that route and grow that way. Where we started from mom and pop, like, hey,
Yeah.
we've got $10. Let's make flyers and try and get an account. It just depends on where your purse strings are and how you grow. But yeah, that's another thing. Definitely talk to a consultant, talk to an attorney, a tax attorney, talk to accountants. Every state's different. California obviously has so many different taxes. When you get to a certain point, there's another tax. It's 1.8% or something. That's like a little tax that helps homeless or something. 1.8% or 1.3 or whatever on a large number is a large number.
Yeah.
So there's so many different things. And then there's opportunity zones that you can invest in, but you still have to pay the tax in 2 years. And there's just so much stuff that you don't even know about. You get a whole other education. You get into the weeds of wanting to sell. And ours happened so quick. I think we did the sale in like probably 6 months, and going back, like we sold in November, and that was great. But then you pay the taxes in April. So we're glad everything's good. I'm super happy. But would it have better to sell in January and then have all the way to pay the next April
Yeah.
to maybe so there's all these things that you need to think about when you do make the sale. And I think and we talked to accountants, we talked to tax attorneys, but we had to jam it in 5 months and get all this. And so I think we probably could have gotten a little bit more advice. I think the longer you give yourself, the better. If you can do 2-3 years planning, you're much better off than 3 to 5 months.
So I'm going to
Actually, a
jump.
lot of the things, Orrin, that you've been saying in the last two podcasts
Yeah.
is a little bit of planning. Yeah. Just rather
Yeah.
than
So I'm
pulling
going
the
to
trigger.
jump in with a couple of points, Jeff.
Yeah.
As an intermediary, we always try to make sure that it's great to get a top number that you go, wow, look at that number I got, right? I gave them a number, then I came back and gave them a greater number and they paid it. But
Right.
where's the money going? What are the buckets? And if too much goes
Yes.
to assets instead of goodwill or instead of non-compete, all of us are not walking away with that much. So
Right.
we always say at our company, let us fly with that. Not only are we working on the top number, we're tearing apart your P&L. And when we get to the end, let's take a look at the buckets and make sure we protect you the best we can, because we want you to get the money, not Uncle Sam or the governor, however you want to look at that, because I know California's Governor Rich, right? The second thing is, you talked about it for 2 or 3 years. I'm wondering what planning, because you might have heard on our first podcast, I always say the day you open, you build a strategy, an exit strategy. And some people look at me like I'm crazy, but when you get to that point, you've had a lot of conversations. Now, in your case, you talked about it for a couple of years. They courted you for 7 years, but then you just said yes because they gave you the number, and boom, you're flying by the seat of your pants, and you're doing it all yourself along with your day job.
Yeah. Yeah, and we had our regular accountant and stuff that we worked with, but we really did do it. It was last minute. We weren't planning. And another thing on that is when you pay the sales tax of the business on the assets and stuff like that, the seller pays the sales tax on that large number. So keep that in mind too when you're talking about assets and stuff like that. The bucket that the money goes into may sound right, but yeah, it's a big difference on where you put those things and how they break down. And we fought about it. We went back and forth with attorneys and stuff like that, and they were fantastic. They really were. I think we got a good deal. They got a good deal. I think we all walked away as happy as we could. Another thing, we had a COVID loan, and I didn't really realize that the COVID loan, I thought that was just like COVID loan, you pay it back. And then that we took that out of the number, but that was part of the capital gains. That's a loan. I could have gone to Vegas with that. I could have bought a house. I could have done whatever we wanted. So that was part of the number that we had to pay back and pay capital gains on too. That was why I came back with the number saying, hey, I didn't really realize that was part of the capital gains numbers. Big learning experience. When I sell a company again, I will definitely do what you said, or and start it from day one as that I'm going to sell it. And a lot of the books that I've read since I've sold the business suggest just that.
Yeah,
And
and the funny thing is, so if you can get more money to goodwill, taxes go down. I try to get
yes,
that in that 10% range for assets because you can do the math, simple math on that one. But a lot of people say, I can do this on my own. And then they get in there and they say, wait a minute, I wish I had known this or this. I just had a conversation today where we talked about, do you have a PPP loan? Oh yeah, it's a couple 100,000. Got to get it paid off. At close, it's going to have to get paid. Do you have liens on your business? Well, no, everything's paid off. Do a check, and all of a sudden 3 loans come back and they're from 10 years ago that they paid off, but the banks never
Released.
got them released.
Sure.
Chasing probably 3 banks later saying, you need to release my liens because we can't sell the business without it. So the earlier you do a lot of that stuff, the better. And it's interesting. So if you go back, Jeff, are there things you would have done different? And I'm not just talking about for selling the business. Is there, Neil and I did a little thing this morning, and we always say everybody has a dog. And what we mean by that is they made a mistake, and oh man, that client's a dog, and I wish I hadn't done it, things like that. What would you do
yeah,
different, and what's your dog?
of the word everything. That would be a little, and I know Scott feels the same way. Um, we would have hired our first route driver way sooner.
Mhm.
Would have hired our first salesman way sooner. Would have held the salesperson to higher levels way sooner. Instead of just being happy to have a salesperson,
Yeah.
we would have put in parameters and measured them like the consultant said. We didn't have a measuring stick. Just said, oh, I guess they're making calls. Must just be really hard to get accounts. Well, how come when you make calls, Jeff, you can get an account in a week? Because you're the owner and you care.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But just, are you really making the call? I think measuring is really important. Having structure. We were more loosey goosey, you're just happy to like we're always first to show, last to go, right? First to put the key in the door, last to, but having that structure, hiring sooner in all categories, repair guy, route driver, salesperson, having the measuring to measure all categories of employee, I think is very important. And then having reviews. We didn't really have reviews, just, hey, thanks for today. And then just anything go wrong, anything go right. Okay, great. See you tomorrow. I think reviews are very important. And then giving feedback during those reviews and what to fix, and maybe raises, maybe not raises. But I think that's really important. That wasn't something that we did until the very end. So I think acting like a large company from the very beginning is really important, because you will probably become a large company, and so act like it and you'll get there. So I think that's what we should have done, is we should have hired sooner, measured better in every category. that we would have been bigger, faster, got a better number, or still been in the business and just been semi-retired much earlier.
You just described my business too. I'm following you guys, man. I was the same, loosey-goosey, hire people, just give them the benefit of the doubt, not a lot of measurement. But then I went out there and just bought tons of business, and I thought it would just fix itself.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It doesn't. I love the structure piece, and it comes down to communication, right? You talk about communicating with your clients. It's communicating with your people is just as important, and making sure they're communicating with the client. So it's communication is right up there with to effective structure, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not every business, like you guys hinted at, not every business is good business. And I heard you say, Orrin, those last pieces of equipment that you put at the account are the worst ones. And they really are. Sometimes you have to say no, and you show them like, hey, this is why we can't put that machine for those 5 people. That does happen. And saying no is really hard. We never want to say no because we worry that we're not going to keep the business. Contracts, I think, are super important. We're always so scared to have a contract, but I think it's really important to have a contract. There's all different ways to get the contract. You can have the people sign for the equipment contract. I've heard a lot of people doing that. Can you just sign for the equipment? I prefer the real sit down and have a contract at the sales meeting, even if it's just a 90-day contract and then, hey, we'll revisit this contract, or just something that's a real contract. Like Neil, you were talking to that guy that he had to remove the equipment. He was going to have to go back and fight for it because they were going to steal.
Yeah.
So I think the contracts are important. We had contracts. We didn't have contracts. That argument for contracts that when the contract's up, they're going to shop you.
Yeah.
So you always worry about that. But on the really big ones, you do have contracts because usually they make you sign the contract. And sometimes it's not even your contract. You're signing their contract.
Yes.
So I think contract.
Plus, you have to have insurance pieces. You have to be protected from liability, so contracts have to be in there, and
Yeah.
you have to have agreements, and that's a partnership. And again, if you're communicating, if you're having your quarterly QBRs and you're talking with people about where's the business, and you form that relationship, doesn't matter when the contract comes up, they're going to stay.
Yeah.
For sure. And if they don't, they may come back. There's always that. As long as you end well, I always say end well, end the right way, end with class. Just beg for their business. If it doesn't work, say, hey, if it doesn't work out, we'd love to have you back. Really, no hard feelings. Follow up after a month. Say, hey, I'm sure it's only been a month, and I'm sure they're doing great. And then after 3 months, say it's only been 3 months. We still love to have you back. That stuff goes a long way, and you don't have to do it in person. You can write a little card. Nobody sends cards anymore, but like a card goes a long way. Dropping off a card at the reception desk, all that kind of stuff is old fashioned, but it really works. Another thing on that, you were saying with insurance, we set up at the end, you start talking to more and more people, and you start putting your vehicles in LLCs, and then your business is paying for the vehicles, so you're getting those kind of things, money going into this bucket versus that bucket, and that's a totally different conversation. There's all these different ways. Once you start talking to different accountants and different attorneys and stuff, you realize that there's other ways that large companies do things, not only for protection, but it's also better ways for your finances. The more that you talk to people from the beginning, the more you realize that there's better ways to protect yourself and also better ways to make money with the same amount of money.
Jeff, what are you doing now? I'm curious. What's post the sale, you and your brother? What are you guys? I'm curious.
Investing the money in the stock market, which was great because we got the money almost like in January. So April was like a wake up call.
Yeah.
It was because the market did poorly in April.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, yeah.
My entire business.
You learn really quick, don't you? You go, oh no, but it's come back nicely.
Yeah, it's been fine. So I'm like, there's that. How do I do it slowly and all that stuff? So I'm becoming a stock investor. So that's been fun. And then we're making a kitchen. We've been doing a kitchen for like almost 2 years, literally. We had 4 very small warehouses that we're using for our vending business. They're renting 3 of them. And then we're turning one into a kitchen. And the process with the fire department, the water district, and the county and the health department is a very long process here in California, along with contractors, the engineers for the structural engineer, the electrical engineer, and the architect. And we were getting quotes. So everything just took a long time. 3 months for this guy, 3 months for this guy, 3 months, 6 months. So as we're getting quotes and stuff, it's taken 2 years. And so we finally got final from the fire department, the water district, and the city. So now we're putting the rest of the pieces in to make the kitchen look complete. And then I'm going to have the health department come, and we're hoping to open up the kitchen around January or February. And then we're going to have a commercial kitchen that we're going to do food delivery business. And I'd also like to make a product. I don't even know what that product might be. It might be pickles. It might be hummus. It might be something, but we know enough brokers and stuff that I'd like to have a product that we push out, and I sell one product and that it's brought to the shelf. So I'd like to come up with a product that we put on the shelves, and then I'd also like to have a meal delivery service.
Do you miss the daily conversations?
I do. Yeah.
Yep.
I miss the people.
Yeah.
I miss the people. I miss the daily grind. I miss the challenges of the business. Yeah. I miss it.
And I think a lot of people don't expect that, right? They think, oh, all this money, I'm going to be retired. But even though you've got the money, you look back going, oh my gosh, I miss all this fun we were having.
I don't miss the stress, but I miss the people. I miss the people so much. I miss coming in and saying hi to everybody and strategizing on how we're going to grow, how we're going to fix something, what's broken, how soon did we fix it? Did we fix it in 10 minutes or 30 minutes? Or did the customer even know it was broken? Yeah. That kind of stuff. The challenges in the games that we used to play. Who's the closest? You look on the cantaloupe and see who's the closest route driver to fix this, and you'd send them over there, and just all that stuff that we used to do. Yeah. I miss it. Yeah, I really do. I'm glad we sold. I really am glad we sold, but I do. I miss it. I'm looking forward to getting back into business.
I think that's the big thing is you have to find other avenues to talk with people and to engage with people, whether that's charity work or whether that's part-time work or becoming a consultant doing M&A work, right? And that's what happened to me, because that honey-do list just is only so long, and you fix that in 60 or 90 days. And now what?
Yeah. If you're an entrepreneur, it really gets in your blood and you want to do it. You want to do something. Getting up in the morning and watching the market has been really fun. And it's a challenge, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it's a lot like the vending business. Like when I have an up day, I'm like, okay, great, it's an up day. The down day, I'm like, what did I do wrong? How can I fix it? What's not performing? How do I fix that? Do I sell it? Did I analyze that wrong? Like you really dig in, just like when you lose an account, you really go, oh my gosh, is it the route driver? Are the other accounts suffering, or what are we doing wrong? You really analyze it. You don't analyze the good day too much. When you get an account, you don't go, what did we do? How did we get that? You just
that's a good point, actually. Yeah.
And so I'm enjoying that, but I just can't wait to start another business. I'm just like so eager. I can't believe it took so long. It's been super fun. The construction process is really fun. We've done some stuff around the house, new closets, new flooring, that kind of stuff, but a new deck, new fence, but it's time to start a business. There's nothing like operating a business. Operating a business is very unique. It's not like running a stock portfolio. It's not like doing home repairs. Operating a business is very fun, very challenging. And if you've got the drive, if you want to do it, I highly suggest it. Go try it. Anybody go try it. The vending business is awesome. It's the most challenging business. Your logistics, it has everything. I always say the vending business does everything. It does shipping, receiving. You're doing everything in the vending business.
Yeah.
It's so multifaceted.
That's why we get hooked, right? We just love having our minds in all these different places and having fun along the way.
And you're dealing with all these different businesses. You're dealing with business that does a biotech and a business that does this and a business that does that. It's just so fascinating. So many different people. It's amazing.
There's nothing better than selling a big account and you have a short window for installation and working on how are we going to get that completed. And then it does.
Yep.
It's like,
Yes.
we are champions. We are the best. And there's nothing better than that high.
I agree. And especially if you're put to the task, can you do it on a Saturday between 8 and noon?
Yeah.
And there's no way, but you're going to find a way.
Yeah.
And you're like 11:30 and we did it. We had a half an hour
Yeah.
to spare.
There's nothing, I agree with you, Orrin, that's a massive high, but there's a massive low when the first week sales come in and you go, oh shit, that wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah, it can happen. It does
True.
happen, but that's where you talk about processes, and I always talk about pro formas. And Neil's tired of hearing my pro forma statement before you put in an account. Is it financially viable? And what are those metrics to make sure that you're putting the right amount of equipment, the right return? And sometimes you said something earlier about saying no. And I used to tell everybody the power of no and never say no. And people would look at me and say, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. I said, let me say it again. Think about it. The power of no, but never say no. And they go, it doesn't make sense. The power of no is when you tell a client, I can't do it because it doesn't financially work. But let's talk about what will work. That's the power of no, because they don't want, if you tell somebody, yeah, we can't service you because you're not large enough, you're not this, they almost take offense and they go, we want you. And now the power of no, instead of saying yes to everything they ask for, the power of no means a true partnership. Always saying, never saying no is, we want this product, we want that product, we want you to do this. And you always say, let me work on it and I'll find a way. So you can have the power of no and never saying no. And if you learn it and you're successful with it, why not?
Jeff's example
Yeah.
would be that company that wanted that machine for 5 people. Yeah, we can put it there. It's just a $400 a month fee.
Yeah.
You're
Sure.
not like,
There's the
no,
point.
we don't want that. So you didn't
can do
say
it.
no.
There it is.
Yeah. You know, the thing about the vending business that's wonderful, the equipment is movable and has value. But if you're going to build a deli or whatever, you're right there. You can't move it. The vending business is wonderful. Our equipment is valuable. They're using it wherever they're using it, moving around. They can move it to Arizona, take it anywhere. Let's move it over to Florida. You can use it anywhere you want. So that's another good thing about the vending business.
Hey, so Jeff, you're out now. You're playing the stock market. You've got a kitchen coming up. And so it sounds like what you've been saying over the last half an hour or so is all the principles that you've learnt at this last business you're putting into this kitchen. And I also love the fact what you said earlier that it sounds like you're a big supporter of the company that purchased you. And there was a theme throughout the whole call today that it seems like you're a super positive person, whether it's your employees, your customers, your acquirer, you want the best for all of them. That's awesome.
Definitely. Yeah, I wanted all the customers to be happy. I want them to make money and grow. I wanted all the employees to be happy. Yeah, I want everyone to win. And Orrin, I know you're setting these deals up with the exact same thing in mind. You want everybody to win. You want seller to everyone wins. If everyone wins, that's the best. You want everyone to continue to grow and to keep going in a happier life.
Yep.
When they say I'm a sell side intermediary, you have to be both. For it to be successful, sure, you're working for the seller, but you have to be realistic and transparent, and you have to have those conversations. You can still get them top dollar. You can still make sure the buckets are entered appropriately, but you want to have that relationship with both so that it's so successful. The next person that comes along will reap that benefit also. It's not just one deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I was glad that if Canteen would have purchased it, that would have been okay. But I was really glad that it wasn't, that we were able to keep an independent in San Diego, that San Diego had that Canteen Plus an alternative, because the market in vending has shrunk so much. It's been gobbled up where there's just very few competitors now.
Yeah.
So I was glad that we were able to keep that alive in San Diego with an alternative. So that was good.
That's great. That's really
Love
good.
that.
Yeah.
Jeff, hey, listen, Orrin and I really appreciate it. You've been a wonderful guest.
Thank God.
Congratulations on all your success back to when your pop started all this, man, and you basically hit the American dream.
Yeah. It's my mom's birthday today. She helped too, quite a bit, I got to say.
Awesome. Yep.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Cool.
Happy
Yeah,
birthday,
tell Mum
Mom.
happy birthday, man. Congrats, Chef, and we appreciate you jumping on the show with us.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you both very much.
Good to meet you. Take care.
Awesome.